Right, thought I would do this video because I want to put my theory out there with regards to the vaccine. Now, over the years, over these last 2 years, I've followed it quite closely, as quite a few people have, and I've looked at as many scientific papers as I could get my hands on with regards to the vaccine, the virus, how it works, how it spreads, and basically everything I could find out about it. I've followed lockdown procedures to a degree. I've understood why they've been implemented. I've understood how they've been implemented with the NHS and all the rest of it. And all along I've had this niggling feeling that something's not right. Now, when this vaccine first came out, I heard a piece on, I think it was Radio 2. I don't normally listen to Radio 2, but I was in an area with bad reception and it was the only channel I could get. And there was some dude from some university somewhere chatting about how the vaccine actually works. And this was back when they were first developing it to suit COVID. And this guy said that it was developed in the 70s and in principle was a solid idea, but they couldn't get it working because every time they injected the DNA into a live host, the body's immune system was immediately killing it, and they couldn't get around this. And then they did. Somebody had the idea of injecting it into a fat cell and then putting the fat cell into the body. I think it's a fat cell. So that being said, this mRNA vaccine, the way it works, they take the DNA of whatever it is they want to target. They then put it back into the human body inside a fat cell after doing some things to it. I'm trying to keep this in layman's terms. So the body then produces antibodies to fight said whatever it is it's attacking. Now, in this particular case, they've used it to attack the COVID-19 virus. Now, given when the vaccines were done, I would have said it was probably the beta, maybe. I highly doubt it was the Delta variant that they based this vaccine on because it was out way before Delta was. So, it's an old version of the COVID-19, SARS coronavirus 2. And they used that, in my view, as a test bed. Now, I found a paper the other day from I think it was 1985, where they had limited results testing the mRNA vaccine on cancer patients. And again, they were struggling with this. When they put it in the body was just attacking it as if it was the virus and killing it off immediately. So if it's been done in 1985, I mean, there's hereditary proof on the internet that this vaccine's been around a long time. Now, the way it works, you basically pick any DNA cell you want, anything you want, lung tissue, heart tissue, cancer cells, malignant tumour cells, abnormal growth cells in the heart. You basically name anything that screws up in your body that will have a cell that will have an independent DNA strand specific to that cell. They can then code this mRNA vaccine to attack it. So, you've got cancer. Doesn't matter what stage, you've got cancer. They do a biopsy. They take a living cancer cell from your body, they run the DNA strand, code the vaccine to that DNA strand, one injection, your body creates antibodies to fight the cancer cells. You're cured, provided they get the dose correct. And there's the kicker. You give the body too much mRNA and it goes into a kind of anaphylactic shock where the body rejects it and basically your body starts fighting like healthy cells instead of the damaged ones, and your immune system overreacts. Don't give them enough, doesn't work. So here's my perspective on this. You produce a cure that's going to cure the world. You've now got that cure correct. It works. You can spend another 20 years plus in labs honing down the amount of this vaccine that you need to give using animals. In the meantime, how many billions, and we are literally talking billions, die from heart disease, Alzheimer's, cancers, brain tumours? Or on the other hand, you could come up with a way of accelerating this testing procedure. Now, it's my view that COVID didn't come from bats in Wuhan. I think we can all safely assume that that's just bollocks. If it did, my problem with that theory is, why did it come out so dangerous? Would we not have had a more milder version of the virus out first before it mutated to a point where it was killing everybody? We would have seen this before, given the amount of bats that are eaten in Wuhan market. And we'd have seen it in mild versions first before it reached the critical kill everybody stage that it was at. So that's where that theory falls apart in my eyes. Right, so let's look at the variants. So we've got alpha, beta, gamma, delta. They all basically followed on from each other via mutations. And then we have Omicron that doesn't. And again, there's the kicker. It doesn't. So, where did Omicron come from? Right. Well, the leading thoughts on this at the moment in the scientific world, and I can back up, bear in mind I can back up everything I'm saying right now with evidence. Scientific papers galore that I have pulled off resources from all over the world. I've been scouring the net for this, because when I got this theory into my head about 6 months ago, I thought, right, just watch, there'll be a variant comes along that kills everything. I said this like literally months and months and months ago, that all of a sudden we'd wake up one day and it would stop. And there's a reason for that. So, Omicron's come from the original Wuhan virus. It's had 45 mutations, and they know that because they can trace them. When they looked at the Omicron variant in South Africa, where it first popped its head up properly, they looked at the receptor cells on the virus and they didn't match humans. They were close, but they didn't match humans. So they could quite happily and very safely say that Omicron didn't mutate in the human population. It was originally thought that it might have festered around somewhere in Africa somewhere, in some remote villages where the scientific community didn't pick it up and it had mutated that way. But when they looked at the cells, they don't match. So they went out there looking for a cell that did and found one in mice. Odd that, isn't it? What do we use mice for in the scientific world? Lab tests. So, what they're trying to now get us to believe is that Omicron, the original variant of the virus, was given to a mouse. It then festered around in the mouse community for 45 mutations in 2.5 years, and then suddenly appeared back in the human food chain. In us. I don't buy that. Not for 1 minute. Doesn't add up. So, here's what I think's happened. They finally figured out that they can get this MRNA to work. But they know it's going to take far too long to figure out the correct dosage. So, there's an accident in a lab, and COVID gets out. Now, it's not a bad disease like SARS with a very, very high mortality rate. No, it's not. It's nothing like that. It's just a mild disease that will rid the world of people with problems. So we'll put that out there. So we're not actually getting rid of the people we need, which are the healthy, fit and healthy people who can work and earn taxes and earn money. We're going to aim for those that drain the economy. What we're then going to do is code the mRNA virus and get it out there. Now, we know that we're not going to get the dose right and that it's going to kill people. So we can masquerade that, we can hide it and brush it under the carpet, so to speak. It's a mass world vaccination programme. We're saving millions of lives. If the odd few die, no one's going to care because we're saving millions of lives. If people die from vaccines, we'll just hide it and brush it under the carpet. Yeah, well, how do we gauge? How do we retest if we get it wrong the first time? Well, that's easy. You need a second dose, and then you need a third dose, and then you need a booster, and then you need a second booster, and we'll just keep it going until we get it right. Okay, right, that works. So we know that this vaccine doesn't agree with everybody because everyone's different and everyone's autoimmune system is different, and it takes various different levels of the vaccine to work in certain people. And in those that are super sensitive, too much of the vaccine will kill them. So if you put a vaccine out there that nobody pays for, that's free, it's potentially saving the life because of COVID, but it's got a chance that it could kill you. No one's going to say a word. If you turned around and said, I've got a cure for all illnesses, I need to test it, but I know it's going to kill loads of people till we get it right, you'll get laughed out of the room. The more I look at this, the more data I read, the more stats that come out. I've held off doing this video for another week because I keep hearing more and more stuff and I keep reading more and more about this Omicron and where it's come from. And I've held off for as long as I can because I need to know that I'm right with this. No one can say where Omicron's come from other than it came from mice. And it's been missing since the day this started. It's just appeared out of nowhere. And that's done it for me. That's just done it. It's pushed me over the edge and I'm like, right, I have got to say this now. I genuinely think this is a very, very large world conspiracy. Now, to add to this, just another little quick pointer. When Omicron first came out, when Delta first came out, before we'd even got any mass cases of Delta in any country, the world leaders panicked and they put lockdown in place everywhere. Before Delta took hold in this country, we were locking down. Now, Omicron came around and nobody cared. Well, nobody except Wales and Scotland and Northern Ireland. Now, why would that be? Why would they think that, oh, it's a new variant, we need to lock down, but everybody else didn't? Now, you could argue that was political. Mark Drayford, Jimmy Krankie, Nicola Sturgeon, they're out there to try and get one up on Boris and jump the gun, so to speak, and make Boris look stupid when everyone starts dying and they can say, oh, we did more. No. The likely solution is all the world's leaders knew what Omicron was there for. And because Nicola Sturgeon and Mark Drayford are not world leaders, they didn't get told. So everybody else got told, they didn't. Why would anyone tell them? Why would anyone give them any information like that? They're not capable of keeping the gob shut. It's too political for them. So only Boris would have known. And that's the end of it. And the reason it's the end of it is because they're now in a position where they can safely say we've got the dosage right. Vaccine injuries have almost paled into disappearance now. There's not that many. There's loads of vaccines going out. Very, very few vaccine injuries now. There was a lot at the beginning, but not now. Now, the other thing that I'm quite adamant about with this as well is that the amount of injuries will decline as they start to nail the dosage needed. So when they come to release this as a cancer cure, well, the flu cure is the next one. So they'll be doing mRNA flu shots. They've been in testing for the last year or so and have been passed, and that will be the next shot that they release will be the flu shot, which you will pay for. But it'll work. and the one they're looking after that is cancer. Now, if you've got stage 4 cancer, there's nothing that can cure you, or whatever stage it is, and you're going to die, and then the doctor comes up to you and says, oh, well, yeah, you can pay £1,000, I can put a needle in your arm and you'll never have to worry about cancer again. Bite his hand off, wouldn't you? But you ain't going to die from it, because they've done all that with this COVID vaccine. They've tested it all. All those that are likely to be allergic to it have been killed off, or put off from having a vaccine because they've been really seriously injured, and they're like, yeah, not going anywhere near that ever again. So they now have good data to say what's going on. Now, you didn't pay for the COVID vaccine. It was free, no comebacks. So when you come to pay for this new vaccine, now you know for a fact you're safe, and they can say, yeah, look, we know it's safe now. So I think this is the best way to put this. It's the most horrifying and most beautiful thing put together. They have killed an awful lot of people in the short term in order to save an awful lot of people in the long term. Now, I cannot stress to you any more than I am already doing that the MRNA vaccine is going to be used to cure cancer. I cannot stress to you now, it will work. The theory behind it is sound, provided they can get the dosage level behind it, that's going to work. And they have had 9.37 billion vaccines administered to get that dosage level right. So, you know that it's going to be a very safe medication. I mean, think about it. You figure out you've got the cure for the world. You can cure pretty much anything now. You can cure heart disease, Alzheimer's, asthma. Apparently they can even figure out they can even cure asthma. So you can cure anything now. But in order to do that, I have to test this on people, and it's going to kill some people. And they're like, no, you're not doing it. No, you need to think of something else. That ain't going to work. Well, they've made it work. And I hate to say this, but it was a British invention. So the rest of the world have jumped on this, and if they are in the know, they are no better. But as I was saying, it's a cruel and horrible and horrifying thing, but at the same time, it's beautiful. They have literally fixed everything. I mean, we might have lost however many million have died because of COVID and vaccine injuries, but you think about how many billions over the next 50, 100 years, 1,000 years that will be saved. And we are talking billions saved from cancer, heart disease, you name it. It is genuinely the most horrifying and the most beautiful thing put together at the same time. I mean, I don't know, the arguments are phenomenal. Are countries guilty of genocide? Or are they to be praised for healing the world? I suppose to those who sadly lost someone, genocide. To those who will have someone saved, they'll be the saviours of the world. It's just down to perception, isn't it? I mean, there's no comebacks from this because none of this can be proved categorically. We know that. We can't prove where COVID came from. You can't prove where the cure came from. And Omicron is the cure. That's 99.9, I reckon, now, because I mean, just off the basic test they've done, if you catch Omicron, you have a high level of immunity to Delta and any other variant. And with that level of immunity basically being in the entire population of the world, there's no other variants going to be able to get through because the variants need to mutate in order to get worse. So, yeah, it's the cure. Now, like I said, I can back all this up. I can provide the paper from 1985 detailing the cancer, the fact that the cancer mRNA cancer vaccine has been in trials since I think it was either June or July last year. The flu one even earlier. I think the flu one's been passed now. The cancer one's due to be passed very soon. We're going to see a huge change in the way that the world looks after people and the way doctors and hospitals work. It's going to be massive, and I mean really massive. And I really genuinely think that this whole COVID thing, it was either a very, very fortunate turn of events for the people behind the mRNA vaccine, or this was a set up from the start. And given the mess of where did it come from, who's responsible, where did Omicron come from, who was responsible for that, we'll never know. But one thing is for sure, none of this adds up. The feeble excuses we've got at the moment do not add up. They do not make sense. They don't stand up to scrutiny. And given that within weeks of the COVID pandemic really kicking in and killing people, very, very few were asking where the bloody hell it come from. There was a little bit of a quick, ooh, did it come from China, blah, 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 and then it just disappeared, and nobody asked, and no one cared. No one cared. If fucking 50 million people suddenly started dropping dead all over the world, you'd want to know who was responsible. They need to pay. So why have we bothered? We just completely stopped looking. We've just completely give up. It's like we're just like, yeah, well, it doesn't. We don't need to know. We don't need. Why do we not need to know? Why do we not need to know? So there you have it. That's my theory. The more you look into this, and the more you think about this, and the more you study the way that the mRNA vaccine works, and over the next few months, when they start releasing information about the flu vaccine and they start releasing information about this cancer cure, it's going to be frightening, because we're going to be faced with population issues. Elon Musk tweeted quite recently, I think it was today actually, that he fears the fact that the world is currently in a population decline. We are actually, there's less and less people on the planet as the years go by. We're not having as many babies, and they're not, you know, we're not procreating the same we used to, apparently. And the World Health Organization has confirmed that we're in population decline at the moment, and he's worried about that. Well, I wouldn't be, because the leaps and bounds forward in scientific cures for illnesses is going to mean we're going to have a problem going the other end of the way. Because you just imagine, you cure every cancer death, every brain tumour, every virus-based death. You remove all of them from all over the world. How many millions a day are not dying? A day are not dying. Then how many a year are not dying? How many a decade are not dying? I mean, can this technology be turned to old age? Can we use this technology to stop aging? Could be. Who knows? So, like I said, the question remains, was this a setup? I think it was. I think it was. Was it for the right reasons? 20 years from now, maybe yes. Right now, probably not. And I really feel for all those who've lost people. I genuinely feel for them. There's other things I could say, but I'm not going to. Bastards. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah, so there's my opinion. That's my ideas. If you want any further information on this, if you've got any questions, just comment. Because I do genuinely think that I've just hit the nail on the head with that one, because it stands up, and it's the only, I can't find a fault in that. I can't find any faults in it. I've gone over it and over it and over it, and all the data I've looked at, I can't find a fault in what I've said. So that's my theory. I'll never be proved right or wrong. That's the best bit about it. But right, either way, take care, everybody. Tomorrow's another day.